The MVP is always an award that is a pain in the ass to predict. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I don't believe I have ever correctly predicted who would win the MVP award. But, well, let's see if we can break that streak and determine who is going to be the 2023 MVP. Before I continue on with this video, if you end up enjoying this video, then please be sure to subscribe. Also, drop a like on this video. It only takes 1 second and it makes a massive difference. Drop a like and subscribe. Please, I'm tired. To make this video as simple as possible and to keep this thing from going on as long as it possibly could, I'm just going to list off all the candidates I think are going to have a chance at winning the award this year, and then I'm going to list all the cases, and then I'm going to give you my top 3 in order of most likely to least likely among those 3. Sound good? Hopefully. If it doesn't sound good to you, I guess that sucks because that's what I'm doing. I have 7 candidates for the 2023 MVP. Stephen Curry, Joel Embiid, Jayson Tatum, Luka Doncic, Ja Morant, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Zion Williamson. As for why I did not mention Nikola Jokic, I just think there is no way in hell that the NBA is going to give him 3 consecutive MVP awards. And as for why I did not mention your favorite player who you think has a chance to win the award, that's because I hate that player and I hate you, and you should take it personally. Starting with easily the biggest dark horse here, we have Zion Williamson. I'm not going to go into too much depth on this one because me and Alex already did a video on why Zion might actually be able to slip into the MVP discussion. You can go check that out if you want to. I actually think it's one of our better videos, and unfortunately, it's the worst performing video we've done together. But separate from that, if you want to get the short of it instead of watching that video, fuck you, but I get it. I don't know, that's a little mean. Not fuck you, but like, come on, watch it. The short of it is, essentially, the Pelicans got really good and they might be good enough to be a top seed, and if you combine a top seed with Zion's absurd statistics, which he's shown an ability to average in his career already, well, then you find yourself with the potential MVP. Giannis, I think, will probably finally have the voter fatigue shaken off, even in the not back-to-back award like last year's MVP. I felt as though Giannis should have won last year's MVP, but it still felt like voter fatigue was a factor even though he didn't win the last one either. But luckily, I think that should probably be gone by now. And another factor, and this isn't a completely arbitrary and gut feeling thing here, but I feel like Giannis might be kind of pissed going into this season because they fell as short as they did in the playoffs. I feel like he might be out for blood and out for a reminder of just who he is. I was actually at Game 7 of the Bucks versus Celtics game, and I could tell from his body language, from the nosebleeds, that Giannis was not happy. So I do think there is a lot of motivation for him to go out and have a monster regular season, and I don't feel the need to speculate on more than just him being angry because we know what the fuck Giannis can do. He's done it 2 times before. Stephen Curry is a really weird one to gauge. When the playoffs came around, he was back to the Steph that we knew, but he was weirdly cold in the regular season after a hot streak that all but had last year's MVP in his hands until he went on said cold streak. 2022 was the first year Steph shot below 40% from 3 in a season, excluding that 1 year where he played just 5 games. So I have no idea where Steph currently stands as a regular season player because of last year, and I also would not find it shocking at all if, since the Warriors are established again and he doesn't have to carry for them to be successful, for him to kind of fall into the backdrop and just coast until the playoffs come around, and then he'll blow up again and be fantastic and potentially go on another championship run. But I could definitely see him not really going for MVP. Like, I don't think he cares at this point. Joel Embiid would certainly win the award for which star player most blatantly vocalized his interest in winning the MVP award. And of course, that resulted in Sixers fans acting like he deserved it just because he wanted it, just like Rockets fans did with James Harden all the time. And it's really fucking annoying. But Joel Embiid did have a legitimate MVP case, and he could very well have one again. But personally, I'm a little hesitant to say that he could win this award simply because I don't know how likely it is for him to have 2 healthy seasons back to back. If he was completely healthy for a full season as he was last year, I do think he could do very similar things to last year, and assuming that there isn't somebody who had a better season as Nikola Jokic and Giannis both did, then he could win the award. If there's a little bit of pettiness coming out on me with this take, it's because I got a lot of anger from the Sixers fan side of the MVP debate last year, and I am petty. That said, fully healthy, absolutely Embiid has a chance, and he'd probably end up in my top 3 if he was healthy, but I just don't expect that to happen. But there's a little bit of an asterisk there. If healthy, he would make my top 3, but I don't think he will. Ja Morant honestly had a better case last year than I think some gave him credit for, and I think provided that he does similar things once again, similar numbers, constant highlights, and the Grizzlies are a top 2 seed, he could have a real shot at it. Luka Doncic has been the go-to MVP pick for the last 2 years, but he's fallen quite short of those predictions each time. Of course, not due to his own failings, because if we're just looking at pure statistics, Luka has had arguably the most impressive stat line in the NBA for the last 2 or 3 years, but his team success was never quite there. He wasn't cracking 50 wins, he wasn't getting a top tier seed, so for that reason, he hasn't really had the opportunity. But personally, I am really high on the offseason that the Dallas Mavericks had, a lot higher than most people are. I don't think losing Jalen Brunson was nearly as big of a deal as many people think it is, and I think the addition of Christian Wood was huge. So Christian Wood being there and the pick and roll duo that he is going to have with Luka Doncic, I think that's finally the first true all-star caliber player that's going to exist around Luka, because yes, I believe Christian Wood can be that good next to a playmaker that's a generational one like Luka. The supporting cast is good. I really like the JaVale McGee signing because they've needed some vertical spacing as well as a defensive rim presence. So I think this could be the year where the Mavericks are like the 3rd seed and have like 58 wins. It's possible that's not the case, but if that does happen, if the Mavericks are good enough, then I do think Luka would be the front runner to win the award. The Mavericks just have to help him get there. And last but not least is Jayson Tatum, who I feel like might actually be a surprise to a couple of people. Now, I must admit there is a little bit of bias here, because in terms of who I most want to win this award, it's probably tied between him and Luka Doncic. But I actually think Tatum has a really significant opportunity to win this award, and the best way to put it would be the Celtics last year in the second half of the season. If they're able to play like that for a full year, they would be on pace for a 65-win type of season. And presuming that they are able to do that, and Jayson Tatum steps up his playmaking, so his assist averages are a little higher, maybe he scores even a little bit more, maybe his efficiency is a little bit better. If he could get to like 29-7-7, and the Celtics are a 65-win team, maybe not 65, that's a little ambitious, let's just say 60. That is a formula to win the MVP award for sure. And I think a huge part of the award, and a huge part of why Jayson Tatum wasn't really in contention for it last year, is that when it comes to the MVP, people really care about you being there throughout the whole year. Like from start of the season to the end of the season, you played like an MVP. And your team success came along with that. The Celtics and Jayson Tatum sucked for the first half of the season and were great for the second half. So I think he just needs simply the consistency of a full year for his name to really get thrown into that conversation. But with the potential cases of all 7 of these candidates officially made, and they were pretty vague ones, but you get the general idea, and they're not also all that strictly unique. It's just going to come down to the circumstances of what they do in the regular season. With all that out there, let's actually give the top 3 candidates to win the damn award. My number 3 pick has to be Giannis. I feel like this is going to be a big season for him. I don't have a great logic for that, other than I just feel like he's going to go for it. Sometimes you just have a gut feeling. Ja came very close to 3rd, by the way. Like, I do think he actually has a better shot than a lot of people say, but I ultimately had to edge out the guy who's already won the award, and I also think his team is more likely to be a higher seed. My number 2 pick is Luka Doncic. If I could confidently bet on the Dallas Mavericks, I would easily have him at the number 1 spot. But unfortunately, while I think the Mavericks have improved, I am not 100% confident that that improvement is going to mean the difference between 45 wins and 55 wins. So with that difference not necessarily being there, and me not being confident enough that that difference will be there, I'm not going to give Luka the #1 spot, although he does still come close to #1 for me. But the opportunity, like it's entirely banked on his team's success, and I'm confident Luka can do what he needs to do. I'm not confident enough that the Mavericks can do what they need to do. And my #1 pick, which I realize is going to be extremely controversial, but fuck it, we ball. I'm gonna go with Jayson Tatum. I feel like fresh off of the finals run where Tatum and the Celtics finally showed us what they are capable of, the confidence of that success should make the Celtics even better. And being that they improved a ton this offseason, that doesn't hurt either. And amongst the standout nature of the Celtics next year, I expect Tatum to stand out the most as the team's best player. I realize this is a bold prediction to not pick someone who's won it before or someone who's even been in the MVP conversation really ever, and someone who's as inconsistent as Jayson Tatum. I realize that I am making a bold swing for the fences here, but again, it's just a gut feeling. I really think, like, I just think he has it. I just do. I would not be surprised if I was wrong, obviously, because it feels like a stretch in a way. But I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. This is how I feel about it. I had a gut feeling that the Celtics were going to go all the way to the finals, even though back when the playoffs originally started, not a lot of people really were going that way. So thus far, the Celtics have generally positively responded to my gut feeling. So hopefully that ends up being true in the case of Jayson Tatum as well. But yeah, that was my MVP predictions for 2023. Shout out to Rudy for editing this video, and goodbye.